Okay, I'm Sheriff Brad Swain, SWAIN, Monroe County Sheriff's Office. And I'm here to talk about a incident involving two Monroe County Sheriff's deputies this morning. A lot of information isn't available, but I will relay as much as I can for you. About 9 o'clock this morning, probation office had requested deputies serve a recently issued probation violation warrant, more specifically a violation of home detention warrant on an adult woman at a residence on Tower Road located in Monroe County, about 4 miles west of Bloomington. Deputies were also aware that another subject, a 24-year-old white male who had high-level felony methamphetamine warrants, might likely be at this residence as well. They had attempted to serve a warrant on him in the past, and he fled out a back door. With this warrant and the likelihood that the male they had been attempting to locate might be there, deputies went to the residence. Two deputies went to the back of the residence through some woods. Give you a description of this area. Have home sites with wooded areas on their properties. It's a rural setting on a gravel road. The deputies approached the back door while a marked squad car with a uniformed deputy pulled into the driveway. The male subject who they had been looking for came out the back door with a handgun, pointed it at the deputies, and said a comment to the effect, "F this," using the swear word. Pointed at the deputies. They both fired at the subject, striking him. He was transported to IU Health Bloomington. Should note that they did attempt CPR on the man prior to medical assistance arriving. Sometime later, a deputy at the emergency department advised us that that man had died. The Monroe County Coroner's Office was notified, and they are investigating. At this point, there's an attempt to locate next of kin to make notification, so I can't release that man's name at this time. The woman that was the subject of the probation-related warrant was located in the residence, as well as two other adult women and a 16-year-old male who is a ward of the state and had walked away or ran away from some type of facility in Indianapolis. The persons within the mobile home were taken to the sheriff's office for questioning. At the present time, while here at the sheriff's department, the 16-year-old male seemed to have gone into some type of medical event in which it might likely be a drug reaction. He has been transported to IU Health Bloomington, where he's being treated and examined. Additionally, the two deputies involved, both are male. We won't release their name for now, give them a chance to decompress. One has several years of experience and is a field training officer, is an Afghanistan veteran in the Marine Corps, and continues his service in the Marine Corps as a Marine reservist to this day as an NCO. The other deputy is a recent hire who is undergoing field training with the senior deputy as his field training officer. This deputy has graduated from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy and is in, I think, his second or third phase of the field training program. We were unsure, our officers at the scene were unsure if there was anyone else in the residence that was not complying with orders to come out. The critical incident response team, which is supervised by Bloomington Police, but contains members of the team who are sheriff's deputies as well as IU police officers and Bloomington police officers, came to the scene to clear the residents. Indiana State Police as well responded to the scene and assisted. And at this point, the residence has been cleared. No one else was inside. One of the women, during a field pat search, found what's likely to be drugs on her possession. So we anticipate some drug-related charges for that woman as well. Trying to think of anything else at this point before taking questions. Give me a moment, please. Yeah, at this point, I can take questions. I think that's the initial information I have for you.
Sheriff, do you know how many shots were fired?
No, I don't. The one thing I'd like to note is that at this point, the sheriff's office is conducting a simultaneous but separate investigation, an internal affairs investigation, as well as a homicide investigation. So different personnel are involved with those investigations, and at a certain point, this information will be forwarded to the prosecutor's office and whoever else might need to be notified. Right now at the scene, the evidence scene's being processed by Sheriff's Office evidence tech as well as Indiana State Police evidence tech. I anticipate they'll be out there for several hours. So I don't have the number of shots fired. That's something that we will have as the investigation continues. One thing I can say is that we do have the deputies were wearing body-worn cameras, and that information is part of the investigation at this point. So rather than making estimation on some things, we'll let the video system provide accurate information. So did you have a question?
Yeah. Did both the FTO and the officer and deputy in training, did they both have body cams or just one?
They both did. And it should be noted that we initiated body cameras and had a bad product some time ago, and the county commissioners recently provided funding to us to replace those systems that were failing for us. So we recently adapted a new company and have been very happy with it. So we're very fortunate to have the support to have these body cameras.
Did the suspect fire any shots?
No, it's my understanding he did not.
Sheriff, how disappointing is this that it had to reach this point, knowing that, first of all, they were going initially after the woman at that residence, knowing that he could be there? How disappointing is this that it had to even escalate the gunfire and someone was alive?
You know, we go after people with warrants all the time, and it's not uncommon to cover other potential exits, windows, and doors. And you know, you get into a foot chase and you tackle them, and you might get a little muddy, or you might have to use a less lethal mean. And that'll happen hundreds of times a year, and then all of a sudden you have someone that just comes out a door armed and points it, and in just a matter of moments you have to respond. It's, you know, it's not a thing that you can set on a calendar that today's the day that I really need to be prepared. These things happen in a moment, the main thing is, you know, there's some family that will be receiving some sad news today, but deputies are safe, and that's something I'm grateful for as well.
On that note, when was your last officer-involved shooting? And either of these I assume the trainee has never been involved in an officer-involved shooting, but has the other officer?
No, that officer started his law enforcement career with us, so he's not coming from another agency. The last officer involved shooting we had was it might be 10 years ago. I was a detective and investigated it, and it was a person that we were assisting U.S. Marshals on a federal fugitive or a federal drug-related warrant who a car pursuit ensued, and he stepped out of the vehicle and pointed a cell phone like it was a gun. The officer fired but missed, and prior to that, several years before, a subject with emotional problems shot up one of our deputies' cars. He was wounded and was released from the hospital pretty quickly after that gunshot wound. Prior to that, we had a shooting in the 1980s that subject survived his gunshot wound as well. So they are not commonplace for us.
Sheriff, what can you tell us about this address? Did you guys know that there were drugs being done at this house? Had you been there before?
I don't know that we'd actually been to the residence. I think there was a concern that it might be a place for drugs to be going on or drug activity. One of the neighbors, when we allowed them to come up the road, once we opened that road, which is a dead-end road, she asked what had occurred. I explained that we'd had a shooting. She just asked if it was a house, and she gave it by description and just kind of nodded her head as if she wasn't surprised. So I think it was a area. It didn't come as a surprise to one neighbor that there was a serious event that happened at that location.
So do you know if you had complaints about that address?
I don't know at this point. We could have, but I can't say. I don't know.
Can you describe again on the property where the actual shooting took place? You said
It was a mobile home that paralleled the road, and this was at the back door of the mobile home. So it's a lot of wooded area surrounding the front and back, and I think there's a decent tract of woods, which is the back edge of property for a lot of the homes on that dead-end road.
There had been deputies around the front of the home as well as the back.
Yes, we had deputies covering the back of the home, and then when they were in place, deputies in the marked cars, and the deputies involved in the shooting were in uniform as well. But once the deputies were in place at the back of the residence, anticipating someone might flee, then the marked cars pulled into the driveway to go up to the front door and just knock. And most of the time you knock on the door, ask if the person you're looking for is there, and most of the time they'll present themselves, and especially with the probation violation related warrant, they know the warrant's coming down, and so they go, okay, and they go willingly, and it's not a surprise that the warrant is there.
So the shooting took place in the back?
Yes.
You mentioned that they'd tried to serve a warrant on him in the past and he had run. Was that at
Yes.
that same location?
That I don't recall, but I think so. I'm asking my captain, who acknowledged that it was the same location, so
So he had previously run out that back door?
yes,
At that location?
yes,
So it is clear that that is the man who was subject to these warrants now?
yes.
Okay.
So is it okay to assume that you do have a weapon, it was a weapon, and was it loaded?
Yes, it was loaded. I can't give you a description of it. I think it was a semi-automatic handgun.
I apologize if you said this too. What's the status of those officers?
They have been interviewed, and they will be on paid leave as we conduct the interview. We will provide stress debriefing for all the personnel that was at the scene. I believe Indiana conservation officers have personnel that are going to come and assist with that. That's generally the staff that we go to for post-traumatic stress debriefing. And then they will be on administrative leave, partly to decompress, and then to just be available to us when we need to. and we'll conduct this investigation quickly and make whatever information that's available to the public and to the media as soon as it's practical for us to do that.
Sheriff, have you talked to the deputies personally, and if you have, what's their demeanor, how do they handle it?
Yes, I did. Spoke with them. It was probably a few hours because after the scene, because I was out at the scene for a while. They seemed to be in good spirits and are at this point they seem to be in good spirits. But when you have a situation, any situation like this, it's something that you have to be aware of, that the effects of an event like this could be delayed long enough in a person's life that they are having some issues and they don't even make the connection because it's so far away from the time of the event. So we will monitor their well-being for the immediate and the long term to just ensure that that they come out of this emotionally as well as they can.
Can you expand on how the critical incidents response team was involved after the incident and the vehicle, the armored vehicle as well?
Yeah, the critical incident response team was summoned to the residence because we were unsure if there was anyone else inside the residence who just did not comply with, did not come out voluntarily or come out or acknowledge their presence when asked to by police at the scene. They came to clear the residence to ensure there wasn't anyone who was remaining inside the residence. You have a shooting event, and when it comes to firearms, then I can't give you chapter and verse on the protocol when the armored vehicle is brought to a scene. Since it's been made available or in the possession of Bloomington Police, it's been called out twice. Both those times have been for situations that where the sheriff's office or my office needed some assistance.
At this point, as
Yeah,
far
let
as
me
the-
get Abby real quick.
Did, after the shooting, did all the suspects come out of the mobile home, or did CERT have to facilitate getting others out of the home?
CERT did not have to facilitate, but I'm not sure how many had to be told repeatedly or not, or if they all came out pretty quickly. I don't know, but CERT did not bring anyone out of the residence. Sir?
At this point, I know the video, the body cam is part of the investigation. Do you anticipate waiting to the end of the investigation to release that, or can we get part of it now, or what's the
I
status?
doubt that we could have it now because it's being downloaded and our investigators are looking at it. This new system we have, the redaction for things that we have concern about, is pretty user-friendly, so I will release it as quickly as I can, but at this point I'll defer to what my investigators need, but we'll make anything available as quickly as we can.
Okay, and you made mention of your own internal investigation. Are there any outside agencies investigating the shooting as well?
The state police are involved with assisting with the crime scene, and that includes using some 3D technology, which will map out the entire scene, so that will take a while. Should I have a need for an external investigation or another agency to assist, that's just a matter of me making a phone call and requesting the assistance.
Do you know where on his body this 24-year-old man was shot?
No, I don't. I can't tell you how many times he was struck. At this point, I'll wait for the coroner and the medical examiner to provide that information.